All right. We have a special guest today, Natalie Bickers. She just completed the Moab 240 and she got the most for her money. She had storms, hallucinations. She had it all, and she was the last woman standing. So I can't wait to hear her story. Natalie, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good today.
Good, good. You're in Alaska, is that right?
I am, yeah.
Nice. How long have you lived there?
Pretty much my entire life. I was
Okay.
born up here and I've been gone 5 years total, I think, of my entire life.
Okay.
So over 4 years.
Nice, nice. And
Yeah.
where are you at in Alaska?
I live in Palmer, Alaska, which is about 45 minutes to an hour north of Anchorage. So
Anchorage. Okay.
southern part of the state. Yeah.
Gotcha. I've
Yeah.
been to Juneau. I've never been to Anchorage.
Yeah.
What?
Different area for sure.
Yeah. What's the
My
running
wife.
like there? Is there good running?
Uh, yeah, it's pretty amazing. There's a lot of trails, a lot of bike paths, a lot of just a lot of outdoor places to get in general. So
A lot
yeah,
of
it's
mountains?
a lot of mountains. I'm in
Really?
a valley. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
in the Matanuska to sit in a valley. So we're surrounded by mountains on three sides and you
Ah,
can get up most of them. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So Juneau is like right off the coast, but you have mountains right there, right? So like how much are you able to climb? How much vertical can you get if you climb to one of these peaks?
Here in Palmer, the highest ones are probably um 6 to 7 thousand feet. They're not
Wow.
really tall. Most are in the ranges around here are in the 3 to 4 thousand range,
Okay.
4,000 feet range.
Okay. Nice.
So a lot of 3,000 foot climbs around here.
Okay. That's cool. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so what got you into this crazy sport? How did this all start for you?
Oh my goodness. So I apologize, I don't have a stand.
Oh, that's all right.
um, so I started running back in 2012. And it all started like with a 5K. I thought I'll
Yep.
just do a 5K. And I think my husband thought I was only going to do a 5K and that was going to be it. And unbeknownst to him, I had already signed up for multiple races.
Oh, really?
Yeah, up through like half marathon distance. And I'm like, wow, if I could do a half marathon, that's amazing. And I'd heard of a couple of marathons out there at that point, and then that was it. And so I did my races. They were really hard for me, being brand new.
Hmm.
And then it just kind of progressed from there, and kind of worked my way up through the distances. And then in 2014, I decided, I forget how, I think I found out about it through YouTube, just looking at things on YouTube. I decided finally heard of ultra races, which was a totally foreign concept to me. And they looked amazing. So I started looking at that. And then I signed up for my first ultras for 2015. And I started that in August of 2015. I thought it'd be a great idea to do 3 in 1 month. So yeah, it's like, well, it's only a couple miles longer than a marathon, looking at 50Ks.
Yep.
And I didn't quite realize that I was really new to trails at that point too. So I didn't realize that, 5 more miles on a trail is a lot more than it really is a lot more than 5 miles on a bike path or a
Right.
road. So that was kind of a rude awakening, but got them done. And then it kind of progressed again and worked my way up to hundreds. And then last summer, I decided, well, I want to do more than that. I know there's longer. At that point, I'd already known for a couple of years, but I needed to get a few successful hundreds under my belt before I tried anything. So I did my first 135 with the Denali 135 up here last summer.
Okay.
And, yeah. And then of course, I was already signed up for the 200s and other races. So I usually have about a year's worth of races planned out in advance and
Wow.
kind of look at it as it's up to me to be ready to go for them. And
Yeah.
sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
Your story actually sounds similar to mine. Like that's how it started with me. I think my first race was a 10K. It was on roads, and then it was, a
yeah,
half marathon. I remember training for my first half marathon like I was going to war. Like it was
yeah.
so huge, and I didn't know how I was going to get it done. And then, yeah, eventually the marathon, and then eventually ultras too. But what was your first 50K race?
It was the SOB, the Siskiyou Outback in Ashland, just outside the Ashland.
Okay.
Yeah, 50K. And I remember race morning, the 50 milers started an hour or maybe 2 hours before us. And I was so nervous. I was there like ridiculously early. And I remember this lady was like, man, you need to go get your stuff if you're going to start like in 10 minutes. I was like, no, I'm only doing the 50K. You guys are crazy. You're doing 50 miles. You're insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Did you ever think that you'd be running, these 200-mile races at the, when you first ran that 50K, you're looking at the 50 milers like they're crazy. I mean, could you ever have imagined?
I think I wanted to, like, I knew I wanted to, but I didn't think I would actually be out there for that long.
Yeah.
I was still pretty fearful of the woods and being out after dark and things like that. So
even living in Alaska, you were still afraid of the dark and being outside in the mountains.
Oh, that's why I was afraid of being out in the dark. Because I'm in Alaska, there's big animals out there.
Yes.
And growing up here, you have run-ins with them, and I still think the scariest animal out there is a bull moose. So
big time.
Yeah. So I mean, I think deep down I knew I wanted to. I've always wanted to. Like even as a kid, I was telling my friend about this the other day. We were out just walking yesterday, and I was like, I was in cross country in elementary school, but I was always the really slow kid who was crying because I didn't want it to hurt. And we were on the trails that I was on as a kid, and so I mean, that was back when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. So yeah, I wanted to. It's just kind of making that leap to going, okay, got to make it happen one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. Did you do any other sports growing up, or was it just cross country?
I did a little bit of track, and then kind of stopped doing that right around middle school. Okay. And then, but then my sister was a very competitive volleyball player, and so my family was pretty tuned into that, the whole junior Olympic / Olympic volleyball network. Okay. And so I played volleyball up through middle school and high school, and traveled with our junior Olympic team up here.
Okay.
And then my senior year, I just kind of was like, no, I'm done with all that. And I walked away from sports pretty much entirely at that point. So. But
it sounds like you've always had a love for running.
Yeah, I've tried. I tried. I wanted to, like you said, mentally, I was like, in my head, I knew that was something I wanted to do for, 30 years. And I just could never quite make the leap that this is how you make it happen.
Yeah.
I saw people who were really fast, and you just seemed really fast. And I didn't make the connection that not everybody's just starts fast, and that it's okay to walk. That was the big thing. Like, it's okay to walk. It's okay to walk, run. It's okay to power hike. It's okay to do what you need to do to make it happen. So once I realized that was a big eye opener for me.
Yeah. That's like the best thing about ultra running. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You can walk and you can eat junk food. I mean, who can't do that?
Right. You can stop and take pictures if you want.
Totally. Yeah. You can stop and take a nap.
Yeah. Right.
So how old were you in your adult life when you started your first 5Ks, 10Ks? You said it was 2012.
Yeah. So I was 36 or 37.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like 36, 37.
What brought you back to running? Were you just at a crossroads in your life and just needed something new, or what was it?
It was a bit of that. I had just recently moved back up to Alaska from my year of being gone, and I was in with my new relationship with my husband, and we just had stuff going on outside of that I just needed some sort of stress relief from. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to start I'm going to start running.
Mm.
So just why not? And so, of course, I did the whole Couch to 5K app that is a great app if you're just starting.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and just kind of went from there. And then it kind of just took over life for a while. Still pretty much taken over life.
Yeah. Well, I took a peek at your ultra sign up and it looks like you do races in Texas and Kansas, like you're kind of all over the place. So
Yeah.
why is that? Like, why, I mean, they're cool races and everything, but like, why do you travel down and do those races in Texas? Like you did Bandera, Rocky Raccoon.
Yeah. Well, I like traveling. Definitely.
Okay.
I love traveling. So that's a big part of it. Some of them started out with, especially like Rocky Raccoon and Bandera. I really appreciate Tejas Trails and their events. They're just put on really well. And some of them, and I'd heard of the names, like you through my YouTube explorations, like, and in my mind, they were like, okay, these are the races you need to do. If you're, in my mind, it was like, if you're a real ultra runner, you go and do these races.
Yeah.
Now I know that, okay, yeah, there's other races and you don't need to go to these, you know, quote unquote, big name races.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
And then it started, and then it was also, I really like as far as the ones in Texas, I really like just the settings in general. It's very, the desert and the hill country is really different than here. I knew that like running on rocks is something that was really hard for me. And so I knew that if I was going to get any better at it, I needed to actually do it. And, you know, those are all really rocky or rooty courses and different terrain than up here for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's intimidating when you've never done them before. It's like these big, gnarly, rocky, rooted courses. And it's like, yeah, how am I going to survive? Am I going to have to walk this whole thing?
Right.
Was there fear in your mind at any point? Like, for instance, your first 100 miler, like what was your mind frame going into that? Was it just like, I can't wait for this adventure? Or was it, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this thing?
It was definitely both. I honestly can't remember which first 100 attempt was.
Oh, okay.
It's really bad. I've had a lot of DNFs. I've had a lot of finishes, but I've had a lot of DNFs also. So, and I don't write them down. Like, yeah. I know Ultrasign keeps some of them, but then there's also just random ones that aren't listed on, you know, Run Sign Up or any of the other sites. Sure. So it's kind of like, I don't remember which one it was. I think my first 100-mile attempt was Rocky Raccoon.
Okay.
I think.
And I'm looking at your ultra sign up right now, and it looks like before that was the Yeti 100 virtual challenge.
Oh yeah, we did that. Yeah, okay. I did that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, no, Rocky Raccoon was before that. Because I went back and did Rocky Raccoon after that also. Actually finished it. But no, the first Rocky Raccoon, I blistered up ridiculously. Really? Okay. And I dropped it like mile 39 because I hadn't yet learned that if you blister up and you walk for 10 more minutes, the pain's gonna go away. So I was living in that it hurts really bad now. Right. But you know, the blister pain does go away after minutes or so. So
yeah, that's sort of a common misconception with you know, newbie ultra runners, and I'm sure you've seen it, I've seen it, and people, you know, they're in a 100-mile race and they'll drop out at mile 30, and it's like, you gave up too early, you know, like the magic didn't even happen yet. Like, you can't quit before the miracle happens, you know. It's like, if you just keep on moving, it's going to get easier. And you know, your legs, well, see, okay, so I've never done a 200, and I've been saying for a long time that I've been signed up for a 200. This year I had an injury, so next year I'm signed up for a couple. But in a 100-mile distance, like, your legs hurt at mile 60 or 70, but they don't really hurt any worse at 100.
Right.
What's that comparison like in a 200-mile race? Is it about the same, or are you just completely destroyed at 200 miles?
Well, Well, this was my first one that I've actually made it to that mile.
Okay.
So like I attempted Bigfoot, and I dropped again way too early at that one. I was really up against cutoffs there, and I struggle with the mental part of it for sure. And but no, my legs, they really, they weren't any more tired than they would be at say mile 50 or 60. I was actually shocked that I was able to actually do a little bit of running towards the end in some of the later segments, and it felt like I was early on in the race, really.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the longer you get, there's definitely physical, and you don't know what your body's going to do exactly. But a lot of it is just a lot of it's mental also, for sure. Like, things are going to hurt, and it doesn't mean that you can't do them though.
Totally.
There's a definite difference between injury and just, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
So knowing that difference is important.
Yeah. I mean, if you're injured, step off the course. I mean, DNF isn't going to kill you in that case, especially if you're risking long-term injury. But if you're not injured and you're just sore and tired, I mean, for sure, keep going. Yeah. You said you struggled with the mental aspect of it. Like, what does that mean? And what does that struggle look like?
Oh, so just the whole, I want to be done and being out there, and the knowing that, I physically can do this. Like, I might be the last, I might have 3 people behind me. But there's no reason why I can't go on. But we're human. Our brains tend to snowball things and make them into much bigger issues than they need to be. And I'm in just amazement at the people who are really fast, and I'm like, how are they ignoring all of this discomfort, and how are they pushing through this? So I mean, wow.
Yeah, I know my brain can be my own worst enemy for sure. Like I can talk myself into or out of all kinds of things that are, not really going to, not the best for me. But so you sign up for Moab 240. Why'd you pick Moab? Well, you DNF'd Bigfoot last year. So was this like a redemption race?
Well, no, I had originally signed up to do the triple crown of 200.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, overachiever.
If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
Whoa.
And I knew they were all really hard, and they were all different, but they were all difficult races. So I knew that. I did at Bigfoot, I did not count on the heat at all, which was probably my biggest issue out there. And also just not knowing what to expect, and climbing, and I mean, it's a brutal course. It really is.
Course, yeah.
Yeah. So that was good. I feel I walked away from that. I took a nap. I was good to go. I actually got out of the car and at the aid station, because my husband was at that one, and was ready to go. And I just looked at him and I said, I don't want to keep going. It's like, I don't want to do this. And I kicked myself right afterwards, after I turned my tractor in. I was like, really? Why did that? Yeah. I was mad at myself. And then Tahoe had to get canceled because of the fire.
Yep.
And I had I thought about doing the virtual option, and I actually had a course planned out. I had a plan for that. And then I kind of did the same thing. I was like, do I really want to do this? So again, that mental part of, no, I really don't want to do this by myself.
Yeah. I mean, 200 miles by yourself is ridiculous. I mean,
yeah. And I was staying home, and it was going to be loops, and I had a place to like stay and come sleep for like 4 hours at a time in between my loops. And so I feel like I could have made it happen. Yeah. It probably would have been the full time for sure, but it could have happened. And then Moab, I wasn't entirely positive I was going to be able to make it with things at work, and And then I was like, nope, I need to decide. I either need to commit to this or just move on so somebody from the wait list can get on, or something. So, so I decided I was going to come down for sure.
Wow.
But yeah. And I needed to finish it.
Yeah, no kidding. What do you do for a living?
I'm an ICU nurse.
Oh, no kidding. So do you work a lot of hours?
Yeah. I do. And that's part of why I ended up skipping out on Tahoe is things were, of course, really picking up right about then. And, I was like, well, I need money to sign up for races. So
Right.
I guess I'm working extra this week.
So what does like a typical week look like for you? I'm guessing you're on your feet a lot, you're working a lot. And how do you fit in running? Is it little runs here and there or just bigger runs on your couple of days off? Or what does it look like?
It is, I wish I had a really consistent plan. I don't, unfortunately, because, some days after I have big plans for after work and I'm just exhausted when I get home. So it was out the window really quick. I would say I kind of look at the weekly average more than anything. And in a perfect world, I would be getting 60 to 70 miles a week. My low that I shoot for on those weeks when I'm really tired is like 40 miles.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
60 to 80 is ideal, but unfortunately it doesn't always happen.
Yeah. Well, we do what we can. And when you're working a full-time job, it's tough. Believe me, I know all about it. So are you working like 12-hour days, 15-hour days? Yeah.
It comes out to about 13 or so.
Day shift, night shift?
Night shift.
No kidding. I see you. Yeah. That's got to be, I'm sure you got some stories to tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it pretty crazy with COVID in your neck of the woods, or what was it like?
Yeah, it has been. And it's, unfortunately, our area is getting hit pretty hard right now also. So, I haven't been to work in a couple of weeks. I know I've gotten a few messages looking for assistance, and I either haven't been in town or I've been too physically tired to go in yet. So I don't have to go back until next week.
Nice. Well, you planned well. And of course I want to get into Moab, but just looking at your Instagram, it looks like you have been running since Moab, and it wasn't that long ago. So you must be feeling okay. Legs must be recovering.
Yeah. I came out injury free, which was one, I finished. That was the first goal. 2 was injury free. I came out injury free. I did have a couple little flare ups of some minor issues that I'm working through, but nothing big. My biggest thing has been my legs are just tired still. And I'm just physically, I'm still really physically tired. So, I think I went to sleep at about 7:30 last night. I woke up at 6:45 or something this morning. So, nice. I mean, a lot of sleep.
You earned it.
Yeah. And, I went out just for really short things and some hill climbing and, nothing that I had to go fast on at all.
Nice. Yeah. Good for you.
Tomorrow will be a long run for sure. But it's relatively flat, but it's going to be a 52K.
52K already. No kidding.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of walking.
Sure. Yeah. That's all right.
I'm going to push myself to run when I can. And I'm hoping I'll surprise myself with that. But
is this a race or just something you're doing on your own?
It's a virtual event that I could do whenever year round. At one of the local, there's a lot, it's in Anchorage and there's a lot of trails. But it kind of popped up and a lot of friends are doing it. And so I thought, well, I need to get out there and do something, and going a little stir crazy already.
Really? So like, what do you get out of running nowadays? Like you're running these really long distances, and just a couple weeks after Moab 240, which I'm pretty sure it was the biggest event of your life, you're running another 50 some odd K. So like, is it like a stress reliever, or is it like some sort of mental relief, or like what do you get out of it nowadays?
I just really like getting outside. I mean, I'm not always a fan of the cold. I'm not always a fan of the dark, but if I'm out there, I know I'm going to feel much lighter after I do it, like just more energized.
Yeah.
Than if I had just stayed home or cleaned or done laundry or just watched TV. So
For sure.
It's a good way to spend the time for sure. And I've got some mileage goals and things like that. So
cool.
Lots of mini goals.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, that's what you need. That's what you need to keep you going. So good on you. Okay, so we're up to Moab. So you had signed up for the Triple Crown, which is crazy, and it wasn't going exactly the way you wanted. So like, how were you feeling when you were walking up to the starting line of Moab 240?
I was actually I was nervous. I always get a little nervous before, but I felt like I had a pretty good plan going into it. And it was nothing wild and crazy speed wise or even really like effort wise, other than, it's a lot of miles. And so I was really excited just to be there, and it was happening, and fairly relaxed going into it. So yeah, I mean, I had done my YouTube reconnaissance, so
Right.
I have an idea of what to expect. And you can look at the maps so many times and the course profiles so many times, and I knew there were going to be surprises in there, kind of no matter what I did to prepare for it. So yeah.
So did you what was your game plan going into this? Was it, some people run for 20 hours and then sleep for 4 hours, or, everybody has a different plan. What did yours look like?
Well, mine was, I just really wanted to average like 3 miles an hour. That was really kind of the main goal. I knew from other races that I was generally, again, just from life in general, I was usually okay with being up for a long period of time before resting. So I didn't plan my first really big sleep and rest for until like the halfway point, which
oh wow,
I know I can just revise that from now on. But and I had to modify that. That became clear pretty quickly that wasn't going to be a great plan. So I had a roughed in game plan with where I was going to sleep and take a little longer breaks and that type of thing. That part I ended up deviating from that quite a bit, which down the road, those minutes add up over the course of 4 to 5 days quickly.
So when did you go down?
I had a good plan.
Okay. So when did you go down for your first nap?
Let me pick up my little paper here. So originally it was going to be like a 4-hour break at Shea Mountain, which, is mile 121 or so. But once I came off of, up into the Bridger Jack aid station, so that's like mile 102, 103. I got up there and it was, there was like a little mini storm coming through in there right then. It was really windy and really cold. And it had just been a rough section getting up there. I laid down there for a while. I think I was there for a little over an hour or so. I did close my eyes and I probably slept for about maybe 20 minutes total.
Okay.
Yeah. But just getting off my feet and sitting and closing my eyes made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, how's your body feeling at this point? I mean, you're sort of adjusting your plan already. So I'm guessing you must have felt a little bit fatigued, and you took a nap. You said you felt a little bit better, but are you still fighting the mental game? Or, I mean, obviously you kept moving.
Yeah, I was good. I really wasn't having a lot of, I wasn't really seeing things at that point. I mean, I think everybody kind of started, or a lot of people kind of started the very first night, like seeing things that weren't necessarily out there.
Right.
But I knew, I was like, yeah, I know that road is really not there and there aren't cars following us. And the the CIA is not following me. So it was pretty manageable at that point. Physically, I mean, I was okay. I did something that was new for me physically was I got a little bit of a piriformis syndrome flared up in my sciatic nerve, and so that was new, and I was kind of dealing with that, and it made it hard to rest when I did try to rest. But it wasn't like severe at all. So, yeah. Just tired. Tired was the biggest thing, and like it's really easy to downplay how much that's gonna affect you in a race, and I was really tired.
Understandably so.
Yeah, and I got up to Bridger Jack. Oh gosh, I forget what time, but it was late at night, 9 or so at night on the second day. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Was your husband out there crewing or pacing?
No, he wasn't able to come to this one at all. So I actually didn't have a crew or pacers with me.
What? No way.
Yeah. I did have one pacer lined up, but then he got in off the wait list, which was awesome. I was really happy for him. And I actually met him out there, and we ran several miles together, and I saw him at a lot of the aid stations.
Wow.
But so I ended up, I had been watching the wait list because I knew he was on the wait list, and then I saw him disappear off the wait list. So I knew he'd gotten in. So like, okay, well, I'm doing this by myself.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, there's people out there that you kind of are around pretty frequently. And especially when you're kind of towards the back of the pack.
Yeah, but they're out there running and racing too. It's not like they can remind you when to eat or when to drink or when it's time to take a nap. That's just so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Did you feel that? I mean, like going into this, knowing you had no crew, no pacers, you're all here by yourself. Like that just seems like another added element that is let's make it crazier.
It was. I had my little paper.
Okay.
That was kind of I had my little notes of what I needed to do at each place, and I hoped I remembered to read my little notes and do what I needed to do. Yeah. So had to be a little flexible.
For sure.
Yeah.
When did it start getting ugly for you? Or maybe it didn't, but I'm guessing it did.
Yeah. So probably around the last several miles going up into the Shea Mountain aid station, there is a section that I hadn't heard anything about. I'd seen it on the course profile, but didn't pay it too much of attention, that there's this big climb that before a drop, and I didn't pay too much attention to it. But when you come to it, it's just like this never ending climb. And I don't know how many feet it is total. It's probably 1,500 feet, 1,000 to 1,500 feet, but it's like over 1.5 miles or so. And it's really rocky, like you're kind of climbing through a boulder field. And so I hit that, and I wasn't prepared. I wasn't in the right state of mind for a climb whatsoever. And I kept having to stop. And another lady, we're kind of in that same area, and I didn't catch which runner that was, but we were both kind of struggling there. And, then it's nice you come off of that and you got a nice long downhill on the road, but then you have another climb up into Shea Mountain, into the aid station. And it seems to go on for forever. So I got there. I was still only about 4 hours behind my original plan at that point. Like I planned on getting to Shea Mountain at like 4 a.m. and I got there a little after 8, I think, 8:30. So I really wasn't that far behind. And that's where I had the big long rest planned. I did sleep for probably just over an hour there, and then was able to change and get ready. And I took my time at that aid station. I still spent because I felt like I needed to physically just rest for a bit. I spent the time I had allotted. Yeah. In hindsight, I probably should have shortened it by an hour or so. And but yeah, that's kind of where I was really tired. It was great the next day. It was like nice day the next morning, and getting out of there was good. And getting into Dry Valley was the next aid station. And, you know, all these sections, the last 2 or 3 miles, like just seem to go on forever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like you have your map and you're like, okay, I know it's right up here, but it's like, these are the longest 3 miles ever. And yeah, that one was pretty dang long. And then I was excited because I was like, wow, the next 2 sections are only like a half marathon each, and they're on road. But by that point, I was really tired, and because you could go a little faster, I could go a little faster. It was almost like you're hypnotizing yourself, because there wasn't a lot of variation in the road. It was just, you know, road.
Yeah.
And so I was tired, and I like ended up walking off the road like 4 times. And I was afraid to take a dirt nap at that point, because it was night, and I'm used to like big animals, and I can see them and hear them, but desert creatures I'm not real familiar with.
Sure.
So I didn't want to like get on the ground and have spiders or scorpions or rodents, or I didn't know. And I wasn't thinking, I mean, I was still thinking, okay, but I didn't know what would happen if I actually got on the ground.
Okay.
I should have laid down for like 15 minutes. Yeah. Then when I got to the wind whistle aid station, I had my inReach on me, because you know, cell service was super spotty out there, and I wanted to be able to get hold of people or the race if something happened. And I was at wind whistle and under blankets and trying to sleep again. And I texted my husband, and I was like, I think I have pneumonia.
Oh no.
Yeah, because you know, a lot of us got like that little desert cough from the sand.
Yeah.
And it was cold, and I'm like, I can't tell if I have a fever. I don't know if I'm sick. I don't know. But I think I was just waiting for him to say, you know, you don't have to go on, but he didn't.
Good.
So, yeah, so I ended up getting up and going on after a bit. And then that's kind of the section where I was for about 2-3 hours after that. I just kept telling myself it's going to be better when it gets light, because it was middle of the night. And I was like, it's going to get better. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
It'll be better when it's light out. So,
yeah.
And it was.
Never quit at night, you know, always at least wait for the sunrise, and then, you know, think about it then. And it almost always gets better.
Yeah.
So are you hallucinating at this point? Are you throwing up or anything crazy like that?
My stomach had been acting up for like a day at that point. Just like I was just kind of dry heaving and not real hungry at that point, but I was still keeping some stuff down. Probably, I know I wasn't eating nearly as much as I should be. I was still kind of, my biggest thing is I was seeing vehicles out there and roads out there that I knew didn't exist, but I knew they didn't exist. So it was fine. And I wasn't like, I knew I hadn't been on those trails or in that area at that point. So there was no like, oh yeah, I've been here before. So
yeah.
I do remember asking somebody like, hey, are those like actual cars over there across the rim? And they were at that point, they were real vehicles. Okay. So I was better knowing that. Nobody knew what these things were, but there was like a parking lot or something over there. We don't know what it was.
Yeah. It's weird how you see just all sorts of weird things at night. I had a buddy that was out there at Moab this year, and he ended up dropping out, but he said, yeah, when I saw Edward Scissorhands, I decided to call it quits.
Yeah, there were a lot of these weird white rocks out there that looked like they were painted, and other people commented on too. I think it's just the geology of these rocks, but your mind could really bend them into just about anything that they wanted to. Right. I heard a lot of people were seeing things on these rocks, and a couple times I thought I did too. And so I was okay up until through like night 3. Night 4 is when it really started turning for me mentally, and the fatigue.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your best hallucination out there? Was that pretty much it?
The best hallucination?
Yeah. I'm always curious with what people see for, I don't know why, but
Yeah. Well, I saw, of course, the roads and the vehicles. I saw the weirdest ones I saw started in this after I left Pole Canyon, because we knew the storm was coming in. So we left to get out down as low as possible before the storm came in. And that was before sundown. But then like I remember like as the sun was going down, I'm like, oh no, it's getting ready to start again. It's gonna start, and it's gonna start really significantly tonight. Like I could just tell it was not gonna be good. But so it was like the alternate snow route, which was pretty rugged in my opinion. At one point I saw the creepiest one I saw was somebody with like half a face holding a cell phone in the air. And then he was like floating out of the bushes holding the cell phone. It was bizarre. And then I had to sit down. That night I started throwing up. My stomach was not good. And I remember I'd sat down after once and was just sitting there, and I looked, and probably 20, 30 feet down the trail, because it was on a climb, I thought I saw somebody standing sideways with his headlamp and like at the tree line. And then I kind of looked and I was watching, and it looked like he was backing into the trees. So I thought I was getting followed by somebody.
No.
That one was really scary. That one was enough for me to get up and like take off because it was scary. But and then of course, when I came down onto Pat Creek Road, I kept seeing on the map that we were coming onto a road. So I was thinking, great, gravel road, paved road, a road of some sort. It's going to be easy to run, to pick up some time. But it's like riverbed. It was really uneven. And then I thought, wait a minute, maybe I'm the only one that's getting this. Maybe other people, like their reality, maybe it's not like this. Maybe they're on pavement. So, and I didn't see what was wrong with why I was thinking that. Like we each had our own reality of what the road really was for us out there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. And then very shortly after that is when I like had no clue where I was. I had the Gaia app open, which had the whole course on it, and was really incredibly helpful throughout the race. And I had it, and I was looking at the map, and I was following it, and I was following the arrow, but like what I was seeing on the app was not what I was seeing at all.
Really?
So yeah. So then I got really confused, and because what I was seeing wasn't, it wasn't matching up. And then the rain started. It was like the start of the storm kind of coming in. So that's when I crawled into my bag and just laid there. I had really bizarre dreams. And I remember, I didn't know who it was at the time, and I didn't know how long I'd been there. Somebody came up, and I heard him saying, "Hey, do you know how far it is to the next to the water station?" And I just remember going, "I don't know, too far. We're all going to die out here."
Oh no.
It's a long way. It's a long, long way. And I found out later, I was only like a mile from this water station.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then I heard a car, and it was Phil Clark was coming along, and he kind of like was safety patrolling at that point. And he's like, "Okay, well, it was 4:30 in the morning." And he's like, "It's 4:30. You got 6 hours to go 7 miles or 8 miles or whatever it was to the next aid station." Cause I was ready to drop at that point. But then I was like, wait. And I kind of mentally came to, and I was like, okay, I can do that. I didn't realize, I knew it was sleeting and snowy and stormy, but I'm glad I didn't quite know how sleety and stormy it was up there.
No kidding.
It was crazy.
So you laid down in your bag before the storm?
Right as it was starting.
As it was starting. Okay. Was it just like on the side of the trail, or was it at an aid station?
No, it was just on the side of the road.
Okay. And you caught a little nap there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There was a water only aid station about a mile away.
Okay.
I wish I'd gotten to that, but like I said, I thought I was still like 7 or 8 miles away from it.
It's a long,
Like,
long
I had no
ways.
idea where I was.
Okay. And then, so tell me about the storm. I mean, we all heard about what happened like on the other side of the mountain with all the ultramarathon runners that got rescued from that other race. But what was it like for you? And from what I understand, the people who were further back in the race experienced the brunt of the storm.
Yeah, I know. I've watched some of the videos from some of the front people, and they were like, "Oh, it's fine," you know. But we knew that it was going to hit on Tuesday, so I had thought I was going to be well past it by then, but I had fallen behind my pace. So it's like, okay, well, here I am. So I had all my gear on, and it was a climb. Like the whole thing was uphill, but it was on paved road, so that was good. It was super slushy, super snowy, very wet and windy. But you just put your head down and kept going. So
how long did it storm?
I don't know exactly. I think it started about 2:30 or 3 with just the rain. And then by the time I got to the Horse Creek aid station, which was kind of up in the summit area, it was still going on, and it was daylight. So I don't know for sure what time I got.
Yeah.
It was all night. And then as I was leaving Horse Creek, the sun was coming out, and it was starting to melt, and it was at least a good 8-hour storm. Wow. It was really cold up at Horse Creek.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, do you feel like you had the right gear, or looking back, would you change anything or carry anything extra or different?
Yeah, no, I had the right gear. Okay. I mean, the stuff I had on multiple layers of clothes. Like the last day of the day and a half of the race, I wore everything I had. I put the poncho on when I started out up to Horse Creek. That was the only thing I added. But I mean, I had on shorts, I had on fleece pants, I had on my waterproof pants, and then I had on a short sleeve, I had on a long sleeve, I had on my raincoat, I had on a winter coat. I mean, I had like 3 layers on the top and on the bottom and 4 on the top.
Okay.
I do wish I had an extra pair of gloves in my drop bag up there, or just in my bag, which I didn't because they got pretty wet.
Got wet, yeah.
But I had, and maybe, I had extra socks and stuff in my bag, but they would have been soaked immediately, so I didn't bother to change them there. I waited until I got to Porcupine Rim, to that final aid station.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of shape were your feet in at this point?
Not horrible.
Okay.
Not
you
great.
said that you've struggled with blisters in the past. Like, do you have any secrets there, or what do you normally do?
Well, what I did for this race, what I learned after Bigfoot, I just learned about leukotape at Bigfoot, which, I mean, I thought I had explored every option because I do blister. Like, I yet to find anything that works for me consistently. So I pre-taped before the race, like every toe, and then my heels, and like the ball of my foot. So I had a lot of tape on my feet that I had done. We redid a couple of them at one of the aid stations. I can't remember which one. We did a couple of them. And then when I came into Porcupine Rim, we redid everything.
Okay.
Because it was so muddy going into there. It was almost like you were skiing, because the mud was like inches thick, and it was easier to just kind of glide along it than try to actually lift your feet at that point. And everything was just wet and dirty and pretty gross by then.
Yeah.
So I did get some blisters earlier on, kind of at the like 80 to 100 mile. My heels, I got blisters on both my, like the undersides of my heels, and I'd had to stop and deal with those. And those were kind of the biggest issues, but they weren't any bigger. They were sore. So but yeah, nothing horrible at all.
Nothing debilitating. That's good.
Yeah. No. And then on all those, like my little toes got the brunt of it, and then my heels. But again, it was like after 10 minutes of running, like the really severe pain, goes away. You're aware they're there, but they don't hurt anymore. They're just physically there.
Yeah, totally. Were you at any point fighting the cutoffs? It sounded like you had what was it, 6 or 7 hours, or what did you say, 6 or 7 hours to make it 6 miles at one point? So it sounds like you were ahead of the cutoffs there.
Yeah, I was actually pretty well ahead of them until the very end. So like leaving Pole Canyon, the cutoff there was like 10 p.m. I think we left at 6:30, and that was kind of the closest I was. And then Horse Creek, they moved that to 10:30 a.m. and I got there, I don't know, 8 a.m. So it was a little closer.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last couple ones got closer. And then Porcupine Rim, the cutoff was 4:30, and I got there 1:30 or 2. So I mean, I had several hours. When I got to Porcupine Rim, I mean, I can only imagine what I looked like. I knew I had absolutely no energy left, and I was pretty struggling physically and mentally at that point. And and there was a cow that was following me. I kept hearing it, and so I was afraid I was like, I can't have this inn getting stomped by a cow. So I just came into the aid station, and I was like, I grabbed my drop bag. I had fresh everything in there, and I was just like, I would normally do my own feet, but I am too tired to like deal with my own feet right now.
Yeah.
So I asked them to do my feet for me.
Okay.
And I laid down on the cot and covered up, and ate a hot dog and was drinking coffee while they were working on my feet. We were switching everything out, and there were a lot of people there. There were probably 10 to 15 runners there. And then I got another blanket because it was kind of cold, and I fell asleep because I was exhausted. And then they woke me up at like about 2:20. Well, no, it was later than that, 3:20 or so. Maybe later. I don't even remember. But I do remember we got out of there. The last 4 or 5 of us got out of there about 20. It was like 22 minutes before the aid station closed. So
okay.
Yeah, I had slept for quite a bit, and which I needed because I was just exhausted. And I don't even remember falling asleep. I just remember putting the blanket over me and then waking me up that I needed to go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How much sleep do you think you got total throughout this 4.5 days?
At the most 3.5.
Whoa.
And there was a bunch of laying down and just closing my eyes but not falling asleep. So actual sleep, it was probably about half of that.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember it was at Wind Whistle. They were like, I got up and they were like, yeah, we weren't sure what exactly to do because you were like crying out in your sleep.
Oh no.
my hip was really bothering me. And so I was like, yeah, I know, I was trying to keep it down, and my hip's hurting. And so like I know that I slept for maybe 5 to 10 minutes there, but I was laying down for 45 or so.
Okay.
So I don't know how sleep I actually got.
Sure.
So
when you made it to Porcupine, did you feel like you were going to make it to the finish, or were you still skeptical?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I knew I was going to make it. Like this whole time, I had a couple little thoughts of, wow, it'd feel really good to just like be done and not continue. But I never seriously even thought about dropping during this one.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of the first race I've had where I've been like, it's gonna get done. And then at Porcupine, I was like, no, I've still got, like 6 or 7 hours or however long it was to get to the finish line.
And how many miles are left from there?
Just 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it was really bizarre. That's where I started. I mean, they're hallucinations, but not really. Like, I became convinced that I'd been on those trails before, and I'd had races on those trails before. But what was really spooky was that I like was actually like could visualize what was ahead of me on the trail, and like knew where the best places to go down were. And like I was thinking back to the races I'd had on these trails, and like I knew the trail names before I got to them, where they transitioned. So my brain was doing this weird like fast forward rewind thing. It was incredibly bizarre. And when I got home, when I called my husband later that night, I was like, yeah, did you know that we've been camping on Porcupine Rim before? Like, yeah, I had no idea we'd been out there before either. And we'd never been on these trails before, but I was like, yeah, that's exactly where we camped. And if I go up, that trail's too steep. I got to go down. And Matthew, that Murray, who was with me with his pacer, I mean, I was either really, really convincing talking to his pacer, or she thought I was out of my mind. I don't know which one, but yeah, the last 5 miles, like, well, more than that, but I was like, I've been on these trails before. I know where I'm going.
Wow.
and I didn't. So
that's scary.
It was. I was going the right way, and I knew where I was going, but it was incredibly spooky looking back, thinking that like one section, I'm like, yeah, I've had 2 races on here. I know where I'm going.
I've heard other people talk about that. I heard Courtney DeWalter talk about it once, and I had Mike McKnight on the podcast, and he was talking about that. Like, when you're so tired, you're hallucinating that, yeah, you're convinced that you've been here before. And so it sounds like that's sort of common. What do you think that is? Just complete exhaustion, or like some slip in the matrix?
Well, that's what I thought it was. Yeah. When I told my friend about it, that's what she's like, wow, that was a matrix thing. I think it's probably a brain protective tactic that you don't even know that you're doing. Wow. Like, where you just can't like be in the reality of it. So your brain's just making up whatever it wants to get you through it.
Wow.
But I swear I have been on those trails before.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. If you asked me which races they were, I couldn't have told you. I had a name, but even now I'm like, I know that was all false, but even I'm like, well, was it really? Am I sure that I'm just not forgetting like an entire year?
Right. Yeah.
Wow,
that's bizarre. I haven't experienced that one yet, but it kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, it was a new one for me too.
At what point in that last section did you realize that you're up against the final time cutoff and you're really going to have to hustle?
Oh gosh, not even until about an hour beforehand. So I remember looking at my watch, it was like 9:17. And again, Matthew, his pacer, was like, oh man, I hope he's like, we got to get down there, because I don't know how it's going to go if we don't get down there. It's going to be really bad. And I was like, oh, it's 9:17. We got plenty of time. Where you're at, you could see the road. Like, you could see cars. I could see cars. I'm pretty sure that it was the road, because I followed along. And I was like, yeah, the parking lot, the parking area is just down there. I've been up here before.
Yeah.
I hung out here in high school. I went to high school in Alaska. I was like, it's not far. It's fine. And so, but then it like cuts into a canyon a little bit, and it gets really a little more technical right there, about a half mile to a mile after that. So that was like 9:20. And then about 9:45, I looked at my watch and I was like, okay, well, this is getting a little concerning, because I don't know where this trail is ending. And I looked at the app, and I could tell where it would transition to the bike path. I was like, okay, well, this is a little more concerning. And I was like, okay, well, I still have an hour and 15 minutes, and I didn't think I could run at that point. So I'm like, even if I power walked the last 3 miles, I can do that. Mm-hmm. And then it got to be 10, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm close, but I'm still not on this bike path, this rumored bike path up here.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I got down there just under 10 minutes later. It was like 10:07 when I got to the bike path.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, well, I can't just walk this because it's 3 miles, and even walking fast this far into it, I'm doing 20-minute miles. So I'm not going to make it. And I kind of knew that coming down off the hill. I was like, I am going to have to run. There's going to have to be running of some sort in here, even if it's slow. And so.
Were you by yourself at this point?
I thought I was. I think they were right behind me,
Okay.
like not very far at all.
Okay.
I was ahead of Matthew and his pacer and the sweepers at that point. And so I started kind of run walking, and then you can't see the mileposts from the bike path down there. And all you can see are like the sheer rock walls, in the dark. So I knew they were there. And I was still having that weird, I've been here before. Like I knew where the goose bend or goose, whatever it is called, campground was. Like it was super bizarre.
So weird.
So when I got there, like I was like, okay, well, I think I'm about halfway. But then I saw lights behind me, and which I'm pretty sure was Matthew and his pacer, or it was. But I thought it was a 4-wheeler. And I was like, oh, they're going to offer me a ride, and I'm going to have to say no because I'll get disqualified. And then I was convinced that it was David Goggins was out there behind me and he was going to run me in. And it was bizarre. And then I could see kind of the lights from Moab lighting up the edge of where that rock wall is by the Lions Park there. So I knew that, it was coming up close. And then I could start hearing people like right after that, because you could hear people, a ways away, people were yelling.
For sure. Yeah. But you're looking at your watch and you're like right up against it. So what was like that final mile like? Was it just all stress and am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? Or were you just like, what was it like?
It was pretty stressful. I ended up, I still wanted to walk. I kept I was running, but I couldn't do more than a minute at a time. And then I'd have to slow down and walk for 3 or 4 seconds and then start up again. And it was, a slow, I don't even know if I'd call it run at that point, but, and then I ended up with a couple of people running with me. They were really pushing me to run, and I kept trying to walk, and it was all pretty intense. It was pretty intense, and I was convinced, and I kept looking at my watch. I'm like, no, I've got 2 extra minutes. I can slow down. And it's like, no, you can't really.
Wow.
And then I knew that there was a small uphill, tiny uphill really, after you go under the bridge towards the finish line. And I was dreading that. After all of that was the hill I dreaded the most, was this little 5-foot climb.
Baby at the end.
Yeah.
So was it pretty much a sprint into the finish line?
Yeah. I don't think I was sprinting at that point.
Well,
it felt like a sprint.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like it. Yeah. Even if you're going 18-minute miles, it feels like you're sprinting. You're going as fast as you can.
Yeah. And I just kind of knew that, I knew where the start or the finish line was, because, that's where we had started. But, after being in the dark for that long, there's a lot of lights and everything was just kind of a big blur. So I just kind of went the general direction I knew I was supposed to go. Kind of followed that in.
Yeah.
So.
And you did it. You made it across the finish line with 2 seconds to spare. The closest anyone's ever been to the final cutoff time. Congratulations, because it's a huge, huge accomplishment. But what was that finish like? I'm guessing like most other races, people come out to see the last few people that are finishing and to see if anybody's going to be right up against the cutoff time and cheer for them. Was it pretty insane? Just pandemonium, people everywhere?
There was a lot of people there. I mean, I couldn't quite tell how many were there, but I know there were a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I mean, like the whole little shoot on that final turn, I think there were people all the way. So I don't know how many were there, but I'm guessing at least 50 people, which, you know, for 11 p.m. in Moab is,
yeah, no kidding.
impressive. And a lot of them had finished running and were tired themselves. So that was impressive. They were a very rowdy bunch, which was really cool. And then, you know, I found out later that I think a lot of people had shown up because they knew there were a lot of us out there that were going to be finishing in the last hour, to, you know, 2 hours and under to go. So there was a lot of tracker refreshing going on.
For sure.
You know, a lot of people thought I was not going to make it because it was so close, and there was a bit of lag on those trackers. So
sure, yeah.
I think that added to the excitement, like you're gonna make it or not.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Yeah, it's just so close. It's your finishing time was 1:12:59:58 with 2 seconds to spare. That's just incredible. Yeah. So you crossed the finish line. What did you do to celebrate? Go to sleep, eat a good meal, drink a beer. What'd you do?
Well, my plans that I had were out the window. Because it was so late. No, they were making everybody pizza at the end. So I just sat by the fire with a couple of people who had run me in, and a couple of the volunteers, and had a little bit of my pizza and just relaxed more than anything. Which, yeah, I was still kind of like out there, like, it hadn't quite registered that I was done yet. I knew I wasn't at an aid station, but it hadn't quite clicked that I didn't need to get up and keep going. So, I mean, then I had to I had to call my hotel to make sure they hadn't given my reservation away.
Oh, okay.
So that's like probably the first thing I did. Make sure I had to sleep that night. And then I was like trying to figure out how I was going to get to my car, which was parked down at the Archway Inn, which is, you know, down the road. I thought I was going to have to go back up on the road and walk down, but a couple of amazing volunteers, Amy and Karen, actually got in Amy's car, and then Karen drove my car to my hotel, and they like stayed with me till I got to my hotel.
Nice.
So I was like, no, I'm okay to drive. They're like, yeah. It's only like 3 miles.
Yeah. And then you get in your car and you're like, I've been here before.
Yeah, exactly. I was really glad I did not drive.
Wow.
It wouldn't have been a good move on my part.
No kidding. Okay. So you get to your hotel, eventually you get to sleep.
Yeah.
When you wake up, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Just that I was happy to be in a soft bed. Like, yeah. And then I had showered the night before.
Yes.
So I didn't have to really rush. And then I had to go get my drop bags. So I was hungry. I was really hungry. And I didn't have like all my leftover snacks from my drop bags because they were still down there.
Yep.
So yeah. And then I had slept through when the hotel breakfast was.
Of course. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So it was go get my drop bags, and then I think I hit Denny's.
There you go. Nice.
Kind of got caught up on everything that was going on because it was, of course, like social media had exploded by then.
I'm sure.
And I'm like, I don't know who all these people are all of a sudden. Like suddenly I'm like, got my 15 minutes going on.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, you earned it. Yeah, just incredible. Does it feel just a little bit better that you did this whole thing by yourself with no crew and no pacers?
I think so. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think it probably would have gone, I know it would have gone smoother if I had a crew and pacers out there. I mean, I think it would have.
Yeah.
I also know that I tend to DNF earlier or easier if I have, like, if my husband's there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I'm like, nope, I just want to go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to go where it's comfortable and I'm not cold and there's food.
Yeah.
So
lesson learned right there. And I looked at your ultra sign up, like I said, and you're signed up for Bigfoot and Cocodona both next year. And so now you have to do those without your husband. He can't come because we figured out your game plan. You got to do it by yourself.
Well, I have to figure out Cocodona. When I signed up, I didn't stop and think about how I'm going to get back from Sedona to Phoenix. So I have not figured that part out yet. So I might have to figure out a game plan for that.
Uber it.
Yeah. I didn't think about that part. But.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be out there. And so if I can give you a ride, I'd be happy to give you a ride. I'll have a little bit of crew and pacers out there. I'll have a couple coherent people at that point. So link up with us and hopefully we can get you a ride. But oh man. So you're just not slowing down. When did you sign up for those next 2 races? Was it after Moab or before Moab?
It was before.
Before. Okay.
Yeah. It was before. Yeah. Because the Bigfoot lottery was
that's right.
Last month. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think I'd get in. And I actually almost took my name off the day before the drawing on the last day that you can, or whichever day it was, the last day you could remove your name.
Okay.
But I mean, I have a little more of an idea what to expect now. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
And then Cocodona, I don't know what to expect there. I will say that I've ordered my own bivvy, so I don't have to depend on a foil bivvy. I have an actual reusable,
nice
zippered one, so I can actually get in it, zip it, and keep any creepy crawlies off me to crawl on the side of the road. So that hopefully will encourage me to take a few 10 to 15 minute naps a little earlier this time. And
cool.
I'll probably do a couple longer runs like at home too, where I'm up for a couple of days and work on maybe figuring out a way to keep a grip on reality a little better.
I don't know how you manage that one. I mean, I don't think you can practice to not have hallucinations, to not have these visions of yourself. Like, I've already been here before. Like, I think you're just going to have to own that one. It is what it is. So what advice do you have for someone that's thinking about their first 200 miler, or for myself who hasn't done one yet? Cocodona is probably going to be my first one. What advice do you have for a newbie?
Well, I'm still a newbie. And I will be for at least 5 or 6 more races like this, I think.
But you've done it. You've been there.
Yeah. I think that having a flexible plan and like having the ability and the willingness to like alter that plan a little bit is the most important.
Okay.
I mean, everybody, you've got to be physically able to go into it and, mentally prepared for it also. Mm-hmm. But you don't know what's going to happen during these things. So being open to changing plans as you need to is like, I think that is so important.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that your race is over.
For sure.
It just means that you've sidestepped a little bit. And, eventually it could mean that it is, but you've got at least 5 or 6 moves in there before you get to that point.
Yeah. So like if I make it to mile 120 and I'm a few hours off of my goal time that I thought that I was going to be at mile 120, it's not the end of the race. It's just, we still have days to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the big thing is like over this many days, like time either speeding up or slowing down makes a big impact at the end.
Yeah.
A huge impact at the end, much more so than even like 100 mile.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Well,
nice.
perspective.
Perspective is everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I see that you are a race director as well?
Yeah, my husband and I have a company, Happy Malamute Running.
Happy Malamute. Cool.
Yeah.
And
It may not, we may be shutting that down though, just realities of life and work and time constraints. So
okay,
we're making some tough decisions on that one right now. But yeah, we've been around for a couple of years.
A couple of years. Did you just have one race or do you have several races?
We had 5.
5, no kidding. Well, that's that's a lot of work right there.
Yeah. It is. It's difficult with a full-time job.
Oh, no kidding. It's a lot of work. What's the longest distance you guys have?
We have 2 marathons, Hatcher Pass Marathon and Archangel Marathon. And then we have had a 3-day event following Thanksgiving that is anywhere from 1 to 3 days. And we've had people come out and do, pull off 100 miles plus in those 3 days.
Is it like a loop course?
Yeah, it's a loop course, and we run it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So
okay. Yeah.
Like 12 today, 36 hours, kind of like however many miles you can get in.
Yeah. When's your next race?
That I'm running, or
with Happy Malamute?
Company?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, which one?
With Happy Malamute, with your company.
Oh. Well, we've kind of put everything on hold for right now. It was going to be the Boycott Black Friday, which is the one after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
To be determined.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, what a incredible story. Crazy. Like you said, it's your 15 minutes of fame. So soak it up, enjoy it. I mean, there's worse things you could be famous for than being last place in a race, right? Like
that's true.
But you did it. You still did it. A 240-mile race. It's so far. There's so many people that just can't even imagine finishing it. And I mean, just even if you were 10 seconds behind the cutoff, you still would have finished it. It wouldn't have technically counted, but you did it. You made it within the allotted time. So hats off. I mean, congratulations. It's such a huge accomplishment. Has it sunk in at this point?
It has at this point. Yeah. Good. It took a few days, and this is probably yesterday and today are kind of the first days I'm feeling like I'm not in a fog.
Really?
I'm still tired, but like not walking through soup.
What do your friends and coworkers think of this?
My friends were all watching the tracker, so
they were biting their nails.
Cool. Yeah, they had a whole Facebook Messenger thread going on. So cool. Yeah, they were pretty excited. And coworkers, I haven't really talked to them.
Yeah, haven't been back to work yet.
No, a couple of them, have posted some messages, but they know I run.
Yeah.
Kind of. A couple of them know I'm a little more obsessed with it than they would think. But
now they're really going to know.
Yeah.
I know. Like when I go back to work after just running 100, it's like people can't imagine it because most of the coworkers, of course, don't run, and they just look at you like you're a freaking alien or something. Like,
yeah.
So expect some of that.
I've got a couple people who asked me about it, but I think I pretty much downplay it.
Yeah.
Downplay it there. So
yeah.
Most of them notice that by the end of my shift, I'm limping and really tight. It's 12 hours, 13 hours on your feet on hospital floors or not conscious of your legs. So
no kidding. Yeah.
They're like, wait a minute, you run. Why are you limping? It's like, because our floors are hard.
Well, so awesome, Natalie. Thanks for doing this. It's been a great conversation and it's been inspiring, and hopefully I'll see you at Cocodona.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen.
Work a couple things out to get there, but I'm still planning on being there.
All right, cool. Well, keep me posted, and I'll keep an eye on you and see what happens in your future, because it doesn't sound like you're slowing down. So just keep doing you. It's cool. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. I appreciate you, and have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thanks. You too.
Okay. We'll see ya.
Bye.